and welcome to Newsclick. Today we have with us Shankar Raghuraman, who is Associate Editor, Times of India. Today we are going to discuss recently concluded assembly polls of Maharashtra and Haryana, where in Maharashtra BJP has emerged as single largest party, while in Haryana it has got clean majority. Hello Shankar. My first question is that recently we saw BJP losing in by polls, and the message was that Modi wave is over. How do you see these election results, and what implication does it leave at the national level?
See, when the by-elections were held over the last few months, a lot of people drew the conclusion from that the so-called Modi wave is over and it's back to the normal political situation. Now, it's always dangerous to confuse by-elections with general elections, because in by-elections, the party which is in power, which is running the government, tends to have an advantage, because not most perhaps, but many voters think that it doesn't make sense to weaken a government which is already in power, and since you aren't going to change the government through a by-election, it makes sense to strengthen them further. And therefore, one has to be very wary of reading too much into the outcome of a by-election. As far as the elections in Maharashtra and Haryana are concerned, it is now quite apparent that the anger against the Congress, the UPA, which was witnessed in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, has continued. It has not yet gone away. People are still very angry with what they perceive as inefficient, corrupt governments. And that, like in the Lok Sabha, it is a combination of some amount of Modi, some amount of hope from Mr. Modi, and a lot of anger with the Congress, which has delivered this kind of outcome for the BJP in Maharashtra and Haryana. Of course, for the BJP, it's a truly big achievement, because in both these states, both in Maharashtra and in Haryana, it had never formed a government on its own. Today, it is in a position to form the government. It has formed the government in Haryana on its own. And in Maharashtra, it's quite clear, though it hasn't got a majority, it's quite clear that it will lead whatever government is formed. So, from the BJP's point of view, this is a far better outcome than anything they could have expected.
BJP leadership claims that regional parties are near to extinction, while on the other hand, Congress is nowhere near to revival. Do you think BJP will be only national party that will remain in power in coming years?
See, this kind of statement to the effect that regional parties are a thing of the past, that they will now gradually weaken and disappear, is something we have been hearing for close to 2 decades now. Ever since the era of coalition politics began, both the Congress and the BJP have liked to say this kind of thing, because they would genuinely like to believe that India will become a bipolar polity with a straight contest between BJP and Congress, or at best a coalition led by Congress versus a coalition led by BJP. But the reality, if we look at election outcomes over the last 2 decades, is that quite the contrary is happening. Regional parties have not only survived, they have grown stronger over time, and there is nothing that has happened in the recent past which indicates that trend is going to change. In fact, if you look at the Lok Sabha elections, the places where the so-called Modi wave was comprehensively halted were all in areas where regional parties were strong, whether it was ADMK in Tamil Nadu, or the Biju Janata Dal in Odisha, or the Trinamool Congress in Bengal. It was when they came up against strong regional parties that the BJP wave was halted. So, I see no reason to, Mr. Shah may be very hopeful on this count, but I see no reason to take his prognosis very seriously.
As BJP leadership claims, do you think BJP will be really able to make roads in Bihar and West Bengal?
See, I think Bengal and Bihar will prove far tougher nuts to crack for the BJP than Maharashtra or Haryana. One key difference is that in Haryana and in Maharashtra, it was either a Congress government or a Congress led government. So, there was a lot of anti-incumbency sentiment about, it's a spillover partly from the center, the fact that in a period of high inflation, low job creation, both the state and the central government were run by the Congress, has created a sort of anger against the Congress. That doesn't hold true in the case of Bengal or Bihar in the same way. And in fact, even Tamil Nadu is another state which the BJP has indicated it will target in the future. In all these places, I think they'll find it far, far tougher. In Bengal, they have not historically had a strong base. In Bihar, they've had some presence, and that presence has increased over time, starting essentially with the JP movement. But there is a very strong, formidable alliance there between the JDU, the RJD, and the Congress, which we saw in the by-elections is not to be taken lightly. So I don't think it will be that easy for the BJP to, to form the government in Bihar on its own, or in Bengal. In both these places, I think they'll find going much tougher than they have so far.
Shankar, my last question to you is whether BJP will be able to repeat its Lok Sabha performance in coming assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh, or it will be only regional parties like BSP or SP that will retain power?
See, in UP, the BJP has one advantage which it had in the Lok Sabha elections as well as in the recent state assembly elections in Maharashtra and Haryana, which is that the government which is currently in power in UP, the Akhilesh Yadav government, is seen as having failed to deliver on the promises on which it had been elected to power. There is a general perception that there is complete lawlessness in UP. It's a complaint which has always tended to dog the government of Samajwadi Party. It was expected that it would be different this time, but again, there is the complaint of lawlessness. So, to that extent, the BJP has an advantage. It also has the advantage of the fact that there have been several incidents of communal violence and generally increased communal tensions in UP, all of which it has exploited to the hilt, including through campaigns like Love Jihad and so on. And finally, the third important factor is that the BSP seems to have got weakened, partly because of the communalization of the polity. Given these factors, it would certainly appear that the BJP will do much better than it did in the assembly elections of 2012. However, whether it will be able to repeat the performance of the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, it remains doubtful. A lot will also depend on how Mayawati is able to revive the BSP. There is still a lot of time for the UP assembly elections. I mean, we are in 2014, the assembly elections are in 2017, and 3 years is a very long time in politics. I mean, if 3 years back, if I had told you that the BJP would be forming a government on its own in Haryana or would be the leading party in Maharashtra, you would probably have laughed at me. So it is somewhat foolhardy to look that far into the future in politics. Let's just say that as things stand, the BJP looks to be on a good wicket in UP. Perhaps it could even strengthen that position in the coming 3 years, but equally it could go back to where it started from.
Thank you, Shankar, for talking to us. We will be coming back to you regularly on such issues. Thank you.